This is a download from Rutland Radio.
Hello, and thank you for downloading the Rutland Radio podcast from rutlandradio.co.uk. This is where you can hear the best bits from the last week.
I'm Alan Walters, I'm a county councillor, and I'm the portfolio holder for culture.
And we're here at the first day of brand new looking at Oakham Library. It looks bigger, doesn't it?
It looks bigger, it looks brighter and cleaner and fresher, and it's a fantastic facility, and we're so pleased it's opened bang on time as promised.
Now, I must just talk about the money side of things. You're expecting to spend about £600,000 on actually this, plus the Children's Centre, which is still to reopen. No?
We're looking at 300,000 for the library itself, which is what is actually opening today.
Mm-hmm.
So whereas you'll see on the news, perhaps in other authorities, mothers pushing pushchairs with their babies, with posters up, absolutely upset at the closure of their library facilities, here we are, fantastic facility. Open for everyone. That's the Rutland way.
But it has obviously been open for a few minutes, and there's lots of people in here already. This isn't a very quiet library, is it?
No, it's the new way. This will develop into a family centre. As you rightly point out, there is a doorway through to the Children's Centre. It's going to be multi-purpose, multi-use, and we'd love all of your listeners to pop down and see what we have on offer.
The £300,000 you were just talking about. Now, I know you had £300,000 from central government to work on this project. It has been widely reported that the whole cost of the whole thing was just under £1 million, which did seem to be more than was originally forecast. Is that fair to say?
I think that is fair to say. It would be disingenuous not to mention it at all. I understand why you asked the question. So the total cost for both projects combined will be somewhere shy of £1 million. But that is actually what we expected it to be when we made the final decision to proceed. If you're talking of the original estimates, they were only estimates and they were somewhat less than the total cost of the project. There's no denying that.
We often think of this building as being the old Bradshaw Corn Merchants that it replaced. I mean, is there any of that building left?
Not that I'm aware of, no, and Rob Clayton, who is our amazing head of service, is shaking his head, so I think we can safely say no to that one.
It's a great bright facility, as you say, just here.
It's wonderful, isn't it? Yeah, please do encourage all your listeners to come down, especially the young people. Get them to pop down, get them to start reading early, get them to come to some events here, and we'd love to see them.
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutland Radio podcast.
Martin Brooks, Oakham Town Councillor for Oakham South East Ward.
We're here in the new Oakham Library. What would you like to add to what's already been said and celebrated today?
I'd just like to say thank you to Rutland County Council for not actually closing it like many councils are. And I think it's going to be a great asset to our community. It's very bright, cheerful, and it's good.
And we can hear that it's already being well used as well, which I guess is the reason, one of the reasons that the council's been able to justify it.
Yes, it seems to be very busy this morning. The children's area has been used, computers and information points. It's a very well-used library, I think.
Rutland Radio.
Hi, I'm Robert Clayton. I'm the Head of Culture and Registration for Rutland County Council.
Doors opened 9:30 this morning. Did you have a queue outside?
We did, actually, yes. We have had 5 or 6 people, but we've had over 50 people in already, and it's just less than half an hour, so it's been really good.
And what would you say are the main changes? I mean, obviously the building itself needed some work, but it is about rethinking things.
It is, absolutely. I mean, the reason for the work was to remove the asbestos and rewire it, sort of really boring technical things. But we've taken the opportunity to completely change the way that the building works. We've taken away the huge counter that was sitting in the way of people when they came in. There was a sort of big glass barrier as well, that's come out. We've swapped over the children's area, so that's next to where the new children's centre is going to go. And we've got a much more improved IT suite, much more space for people. And we've now, for the first time, got a separate teenage area. So for the young people who've never had their own space, they've now got that, which is going to be great.
There's a real buzz. I mean, we can hear it in the background here. Is this allowed in the library?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This is the way that people work nowadays. They like to drop in, have a cup of tea, do some work, and have a chat to people. That's very much the way that people work now. It's not about hush, silence. It's about talking and making the best of things.
And also, actually, a wide range of ages here. There's events that are on, aimed at young children as well, which will obviously work great when the children's centre's here.
Absolutely. I mean, those can get a bit noisy, and we're looking forward to having the children's centre here because that'll be in a separate room. So it'll be slightly less noisy day to day, but there will always be a buzz of children and young people and adults and older people just getting on together, which is what it's all about.
And you think of centres of the community around the country that have closed, from pubs to village libraries. In Rutland, there's still a good wealth, facilities, really.
Absolutely. We're so proud. I mean, we've kept all of our libraries open. We've got the museum. We've invested in the castle. We're so fortunate. We've done really, really well.
Rutland Radio's best bits on the podcast.
I'm Lottie and I work for Racewood Limited. I deal with their kind of sales and product development for all of our horses.
Okay, so can you just briefly tell me about the Musto Mare?
The Musto Mare is our kind of top of the range horse. She's our eventing simulator. We developed the course specifically for Burley based on the 2016's course. They've got a kind of short section of the course. I think there's 8 fences and about 12 jumps with the combinations. But we've developed her to be able to do certain Grand Prix dressage moves. You can jump a full course of show jumps and any kind of cross-country course, really, that whatever we develop.
How many of these do you have in the country?
There's only 2 others there's one at Hartbury and one at Rest Harrow up in Lancashire, and then this is the only other one that's in the UK at the moment. And then there's only about 14 of them in the world.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So it looks easy standing here, but once you get on it, I bet it's a lot more trickier.
Yeah, a lot harder than it looks. Everybody's getting off thinking, oh, that's definitely harder than it looks. Obviously, like any horse, you've got to get used to how to ride her. So.
And have the pros been on?
Yep. So we had William Fox Pitt on it on Friday. That was a little bit daunting. And then Imogen Murray came and rode it yesterday. Both did a really good job, but it's a bit different, but there's lots of benefits to her as well.
Yeah, how did they both do on it?
They both did really well, actually. They both got around the course, didn't miss any fences out, didn't end up in a heap, so they did really well.
Rutland Radio.
It's Rutland Radio at breakfast time. Now, the Ketton Walking Festival is happening very soon. In fact, it leads up to a very special day in Ketton, which we'll hear about in just a second. But to tell us more, someone who's been involved with the Walking Festival and the Walking Group, since its inception, Ron, would you say? Ron Tilley's with us.
Yeah, we started the Walking Festival last year. We've always been part of the Rutland Walking Festival, which we still are, incidentally. But we decided last year to form our own Ketton Walking Festival week.
And you're award-winning as well, aren't you? Through the Active Rutland Sports Awards, through people who've been part of it, and through the group itself as well.
Yeah, we've had various people nominated, and also the group nominated, and we've been lucky. We have won awards over the years. The group was actually formed in 2009. Also, the day of the Walking Festival is incidentally the group's 8th anniversary. So we've got a lot to look forward to.
Now, it stretches from the 7th to the 14th of September, and you've got various different walks, mainly in the local area. Tell us just some of those highlights.
The first walk we do is the launch day on the 7th of September, which is the Thursday, and that is a choice of 2 healthy walks, which is in the village of Ketton. One walk will be over 3 miles or so, and the other one will be a little bit shorter, possibly a mile and a half. Then we move on to Saturday, September the 9th, where we're walking at Easton on the Hill. And this again is a healthy walk, which will again be about 3.5 miles.
The healthy walk really is to say what the length of the walk is, isn't it?
It is really. We move further on into the week. We bring the more sort of extreme walkers in. On the Monday, for instance, we're walking at Barradon, and that is a 6-mile walk. We call that an eager beaver walk, is where we sort of plan a walk around a pub, if you like. It's a little bit more advanced than the healthy walking group, where we have cups of tea after the walk. And then to sort of nearly finish the week on the Wednesday, we're looking forward to this one because it's the first time we've walked there. We're going to Bradgate Park in Leicester. This is an 8-mile walk, and hopefully it will be well patronised, because you never know who's going to turn up on these walks until they actually turn up at the meeting place.
Are you expecting people to get there under their own steam, or will you kind of organise a bit of transport depending on who's interested?
We tend to try to use as few cars as we can. We near enough know within the group who's going, and if they've got anybody outside the group who wants to go, then we usually limit the cars and arrange a meeting place through email, phone calls, media, etc.
The weekly Rutland Radio podcast.
I'm Councillor Dr Peter Mosley. I'm the Cabinet Member for the Environment at South Kesteven District Council.
Okay, so can you tell me more about the South Kesteven Big Clean, please?
Yeah, well, the Big Clean is the South Kesteven initiative to make a higher street standard throughout South Kesteven. It's about improving the street scene. It's about making things look nicer and tidier and a nicer place for people to live, to work and to invest.
So what parts of Stamford and also around South Kesteven are going to be part of the Big Clean?
Effectively, it's anywhere that needs it. What we've decided to do is a targeted, intelligence-based approach to cleaning our streets. There's no point in us cleaning a clean street, but we need to know where the dirty grot spots are. And so what we've done is we've developed a website which has got full mapping on it, and the public have been putting their pins in the maps telling us where the dirty places are and what needs doing, and so we've been addressing those. But we've also got our own intelligence, obviously, and we've been using that. So we've been tackling a lot of the areas that we already knew about. So we've been working closely with other organisations such as the town councils and the parishes to identify areas that need a clean. So there is nothing that's off limits with regards to the Big Clean.
So how do people get involved then? Is it all volunteer run first of all?
It's not 100% volunteer run, no, but if you want to volunteer, there are volunteer groups that we're directing to certain areas to carry out specific tasks. Obviously, we can't let volunteers use big equipment, but we do want volunteers to come and help us because the efforts that they put in make a huge difference. And what we've actually found is that during the process, a lot of people have come out and told us that they do, what they've been doing, and there are people throughout the whole district that go out and collect litter and clean up and do weeding without any prompting or asking, on their own initiative, and it's really heartening to hear these stories.
Do you have any statistics on the amount of litter or rubbish in Stamford in particular?
In Stamford in particular, no. I mean, the only bit I can drop out right now is that we were just over at Mid UK Recycling, that's just been helping us out with some of the disposal that we do, and they've just told us that we've just tipped the 50-tonne mark in terms of the amount of waste that the Big Clean's collected in the last 3 weeks. So 50 tonnes is an awful lot. I think the thing to do is to keep looking at our website, keep looking at our Facebook and Twitter feeds, because you'll see the actual effects of what we do. I don't think you can really put a number on how much better it feels walking down an alleyway that you previously couldn't. I think that's bigger than the statistic.
So why do you think the Big Clean is important?
Well, it's important because we like to, we want to live in an area that's clean and tidy. Why should we live in an area that's just grotty and covered in graffiti and with litter everywhere? What the Big Clean does is it makes people feel better about their environment. It makes our district more attractive to people who want to come and live and work here, and that's the whole key to this. If we have a higher street standard, more people will come and live and work, and effectively we will generate prosperity throughout our district.
And how long is the Big Clean going on for?
Well, the Big Clean won't stop, but it has a couple of phases to it. The main phase, where we've got 5 active teams, ends on the 31st of October, so that's a 12-week period where we've got high activity. After that, we've got 1 full-time team working up until April, and they'll be joined by another full-time team next year. So we will have an additional investment ongoing of £500,000 a year in the 2 additional teams. So it's not just about cleaning up and then walking away. It's about cleaning up and keeping it clean and striving for that higher street standard across the whole district.
Rutland Radio.
It's nearly 10 to 8. The sun coming out for a lovely Wednesday in Stamford and Rutland. Looks like staying dry today and dry for this evening's, beating the retreat in Oakham in the marketplace once again. Paul Beach joins us to tell us more. Now, the band you've got tonight, it's not their first time performing in Oakham, is it, Paul?
No, it isn't, Rob. They were here last year, and we have had them before. They're a terrific band. Well, all are terrific bands, of course. But yes, they'll be performing tonight at 6:30 in the marketplace in Oakham.
So this is the Minden Band of the Queen's Division. Describe what happens actually as through the ceremony.
Right. Okay. Well, it's traditionally it goes back to about the 1600s when soldiers were called back into camp. let's put it that way, from their activities during the day or the evening in local towns. And it's a drum that went out, and the drummer called the soldiers back to retreat back to the barracks. On this occasion now, it's a ceremony that is performed traditionally at 6:30 prior to sunset. And as you've just said, it's the Minden Band, the Queen's Division, who are performing tonight. And taking the salute will be Sir Lawrence Howard. It'll be his first appearance at Beaton Retreat as a knight.
Yes, indeed, our Lord Lieutenant of Rutland. And you're encouraging really as many people to come along, see it, support it, and hopefully make a donation to ABF, the Soldiers' Charity.
That's quite correct, and it's become an event now. It's an annual event, and it's well established in the Rutland calendar. It's an event that we get sometimes 300 and 400 people turn up, and it really is fantastic for the charity. And there's the 7 Logistics Regiment will come down and help us set it all up with chairs and the dais, but the band will march on. It's 30 minutes, and it's just terrific music. Everybody loves it.
Been going over 10 years actually in Oakham now, hasn't it?
Yep. We're on I think we're on our 10th actually, Rob.
Yeah, I was just listening to last year's recording that we did, and you said 10 years then, so it must be the 11th. I'm guessing.
Yes.
I'm guessing.
No, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, but lovely to talk to you this morning. That's tonight, 6:30, Beating Retreat in Oakham at 6:30, the Minden Band of the Queen's Division.
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutland Radio Podcast.
I'm here with the Mayor of Stamford, Tony Story, and isn't it just fabulous, actually, that Stamford students get the chance to actually process through town?
I think it's a wonderful opportunity. It does all sorts of things on different levels. It gives the students an idea of how the system works and what they can look forward to in the future. It gives Stamford a bit of pride to see that we've got a good college which cares and is presenting and helping people move on, which is very, very good, yeah. So it works from all angles, absolutely.
And it also means in your mayoral year you get to walk through the town twice, actually, at the front of a parade.
At least twice, yeah. I think we've got 2 service parades. We've got the Mayor's Sunday, we've got this one. Not sure there are any more, but yeah, quite busy. It's very nice. It's really very nice. And I say it's part of Stamford, it's part of the heritage. Yeah.
And talking of part of the local heritage, you were RF Wittering at their museum just earlier this week.
What a brilliant day out. I arranged this with the station commander. Obviously I'm ex-RAF and ex-RAF Wittering. I invited a group of friends. I think there were 45 altogether in the end, more than we should have had, but the RAF coped admirably. They looked after us so well. Everybody enjoyed it. We had a look around the Heritage Centre, brought back memories for a lot of people, of great interest to a lot of others. The Harrier is part of Stamford forever, isn't it? And then we had a lovely lunch. What else could we ask for? It was a brilliant day out. Brilliant day.
And completely unconnected with this is for our weekend survey that we do, with the Great British Bake Off now being on Channel 4. Did you watch the old one? Have you watched the new one?
No, I've never watched. My wife sometimes watches them because she's the cook. I'm the bottle washer.
Rutland Radio.
Well, first of all, tell us about your degree and who you are.
My staff.
Your staff?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
We're very proud staff, I have to say.
Students are upstairs.
Yeah, well, I did wonder, actually, because they're all getting their photos now, aren't they?
Yeah. Other than that, we could be mature students, obviously, but we're here to support the students. There's a number of our lecturing staff who are here who have taught them through their degree process. They're very proud to be here. And, of course, the head of departments, such as Emma, all of the heads of department have been invited, again, to give the students some morale, support and to
celebrate their success.
Exactly. Yeah.
Indeed, it's quite an amazing day, isn't it, to turn Stamford into a university town just for one afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great for the students to experience that as well, because although they go to New College Stamford and study their degree, they still get the experience of graduating like they would if they were away at university studying.
And they get the support from the local local community who get very excited by the procession that goes through the town.
Can I just take your names as well? Is that okay?
Yeah, my name's Carol Hargreaves, I'm the head of HR.
And I'm Emma Hemmings, head of Leisure and Service Industries.
Rutland Radio's best bits on the podcast.
I'm Matt Shaw and I'm head of higher education at the college.
Now, you actually present the certificates today to all the students?
Yes, I do. Yes, so we call them all up one by one. We've got most of our students graduating today from higher national diplomas, foundation degrees, across a whole range of different courses. So it's a really important day for us.
And a very special day for them as well, actually. I mean, this hasn't always been the case, actually, where you've processed through town, has it?
It is. We've been doing it for probably about 8 years now. We've actually been running higher education for about 20 years, and it's a growing part of our college now. So it's a real opportunity for us to offer higher education opportunities for students who don't want to go away or who can't afford to go away, and they've got that opportunity to do that locally.
And how do you feel on a day like this, dressed up in cap and gown?
Really, really proud of them. They've worked really hard. The lecturers have worked really hard. It's the culmination of 2 years really hard work. So it's a really special day, and it's great to see them all dressed up.
Can I ask you something completely not to do with that?
Of course.
But it's just our weekend survey.
Right.
Do you watch Bake Off, and do you prefer it on BBC or Channel 4?
You won't believe it, but I don't watch it. And I think I'm the only person I know who doesn't. But no, I don't watch it.
Rutland Radio's best bits on the podcast.
It's Rutland Radio Breakfast Time. I'm Rob Pisani. Now, you've probably seen the signs around the Phoebe 5K run. It's on the 1st of October for the Phoebe Research Fund. And Phoebe's mum, Zoe, joins us this morning. And also, special guest Steve Arnold, who you'd know as Ashley Peacock from Coronation Street. I mean, you know, will you ever get away from that, do you think?
I don't think you ever can as much as you try to, but yeah, it's, you know, I was there 16 years, Rob. And
amazing character.
Yeah, it was
really
fabulous.
Was great fun with you and Fred Elliott, your uncle.
I had such a good rapport with him, you know, he was a fabulous actor and learnt so much off him. I've got great memories of working with John, and 16 great years of being on Coronation. It was a fabulous time for me. But yeah, you move on and you want to venture out and do different things, and you do try and shake the character off, you know, because you want to do theatre and different roles and play different characters, so you do try and shake it off, but it always sticks with you, really.
Now, you were doing panto in Peterborough when you actually met Phoebe and her mum, and you know, I guess immediately you were touched by, you know, what Phoebe has to go through on a daily basis.
Yeah, I was doing Peter Pan at the Crescent Theatre in Peterborough, and the lady that was running the theatre said there's a lady here that's doing a charity video for her daughter, and obviously it was Zoe come in and explained it, and I did a couple of lines for a song she was doing. Anyway, you come and watch the show, didn't you, Zoe? And then told me all about it, and I met Phoebe. I just thought she was such an inspiration and full of character and just full of love for life, you know, just a fantastic little kid, and I just wanted to get involved more, and hence why we're here now, you know, working on the run and everything else that we're doing. She just goes through so much every day, but just takes it in a stride.
So how is Phoebe doing, Zoe? I mean, we know that her skin condition makes blisters on the inside, the outside. She has to go and have regular treatment in hospital all the time.
Yeah, I mean, hospital appointments are not too bad because it's manageable condition. It's the fact that she shouldn't, you know, have to go through that and endure that kind of level of pain every day, and it is literally every day. It could be a mouth blistering, digestive tract, going to the toilet, swallowing, eating, knocks, bumps. It's an all-encompassing everyday disorder, basically, or disease, however you want to put it. But Phoebe's getting to manage it better. She does a lot of dressing to self. Really inspirational in that respect. She just takes it in her stride, and it's one of those things that I'm sure in some respects gets harder to deal with, and in some respects easier. You know, more questions are asked. There's a lot of social exclusion, but day to day, you know, she's a happy little sausage, really.
And you set up the Phoebe Research Fund really to try and find out exactly why this is happening, ultimately to actually maybe find a cure for this.
Yeah, there's probably the type that Phoebe's got, the type of epidermolysis bullosa that Phoebe's got. There's probably only 50 sufferers, and that's part of the problem because there's not much awareness. There's absolutely zero government funding, and that's why it's really down to the parents and people like Stephen or whoever to get involved, because then where there's funding there's a better chance of a cure. And I do believe with enough money that she wouldn't have it, but also not just Phoebe, other sufferers and other people with genetic disorders as well, because there's a lot of horrible, nasty disorders out there that can be fixed, and it's just a genetic defect.
Now, a lot of children in the Stamford area know Phoebe. They've either played with her at playgroup or gone to school with her. In fact, there'll be some listening this morning that go to school with her every day. And you've got lots signed up already for the run, but there's plenty of room for more.
We have fantastic support at the moment. If we can get 750 or as near to 750 as possible, we want to make it an annual event. The lovely thing about this particular event is everybody can get involved. You know, you don't have to run it, you can walk it, you can bring the dog if you want, and a lot of work's gone into it, mainly from my trustee Mark Thomas, who's literally, he spent a whole year of his life planning it, because there's so much infrastructure. We've gone to various meetings and whatever else, and the logistical side of it, it's very hard to put on an event like this. So now all we're asking for is, you know, that people actually do attend, and, you know, it's looking quite promising now.
Are you a runner, Stephen?
I'm not a runner. I'll probably walk around on the day and stuff and just talk to people and things, but I've never been a runner. I suffer with shin splints, so I've never been a runner, but it's just great to be involved in something like this. You know, as Zoe said, it's the first one, and we want it to make as big as impact as possible, really.
So let's talk about Sunday, the 1st of October. The run starts at 10 in the morning at Rutland Water. How do people actually register for this?
You can register online. It's www.phoebe5k.org.uk. The entrance for an adult is £10, £5 for a child, and infants are free of charge. Now, every entrant receives a medal. It's a metal medal. It's fantastic. It's been sponsored by a local business called Pilot Fish, who've been incredibly supportive, and everyone over 18 receives a free pint as well.
So that's Sunday, the 1st of October. If you go to phoebe5krun.org.uk, you'll find it really easily online. There's not a road junction really around this area where you can't see a sign now, is there?
No, Mark's set to work on that. He's done a fantastic job.
And I know you've got a few tickets left for your auction night. Eddie the Eagle Edwards is going to be in Stamford.
I know.
I loved the film, actually, all about his life. I thought it was amazing.
I watched that and cried, actually. I think he's
yeah,
just the biggest,
no, I did too.
Biggest inspiration going. And what's lovely is that's the whole point. We want something inspirational. We want people involved that are true characters, and I mean everybody, especially of our kind of generation, everybody remembers Eddie. He's an absolute national treasure, and one of Stephen's good friends, and you managed to get him along to that, and I'm very grateful for that. So that's the 10th of November. We don't have many tickets left, but if anybody wants to join us on that night, it's £60 suggested donation. It's at the William Cecil Hotel. It's a 3-course meal, and it's always such a lovely evening. It's really lovely. So,
and some incredible auction prizes, I imagine.
We've got some brilliant
and we're also working on some more.
Oh, right, fabulous. Zoe Crowson and Stephen Arnold, thanks for joining us on Rutland Radio today. Lovely to see you.
Rob, it's been a pleasure, thank you.
Rutland Radio.
Book launch day. It's Colin Thursday.
Yeah.
You always do something special, so it's not so much fireworks and a huge number of them, but a book which has 10 inventions you can try at home. Is this safe?
Yes and no. I mean, the book says it's not safe. If you're the child and the person who's bought it, you'll think it's brilliant. If you're the parent, you might be a little bit like, I'm not sure about this, but, you know, it's all in the name of education and getting people building and creating stuff.
So what sort of things are in there, then?
We've got a couple of things. We've got a trike, which is the thing that you build up to the end, so people get to make like a little freewheel trike out of a pallet of an old bike. We've got rafts, which is made out of milk cartons. We've got Nerf sentries, so you can push a button and you can fire your Nerf gun remotely. You've got remote control hose pipe controllers. You've got self-wedging. You've got like a little gimbal thing that you can put your smartphone on, so you can film like nice little slick kind of like jib shots, which is cool if you're making YouTube videos, and all sorts of other stuff.
So it's not so much the kind of thing, you know, that you're famous for. It's on a smaller scale and with less kind of fire and explosions.
There is a fire tornado,
right,
that you can learn to make.
Oh, crikey!
But yes, it is on the it's in the early stages of building. Because I mean, the reason why I've done this book is I get a lot of emails from kids, from parents, and even some older people saying, "I want to do what you do. I want to get into making stuff. Where do I start?" So it literally is like the very start of how you start creating stuff. You know, learning to cut pieces of wood, screw pieces of wood, cutting metal, drilling holes, where to drill it, things like that. It's the absolute basics to get people into doing what I do, and then by the time you've made all 10 projects, you will hopefully have the confidence to then, you know, thinking, right, well, I could add this one to that one. You know, if you start combining them, you know, you can make all sorts of interesting things. So that's the goal of it.
This book isn't safe by Colin Furze. Where can people get it from?
W.H. Smith, You can get it online. I think Asda's have definitely got it. Waterstones have got it. Amazon have got it. I think it's available in electronic versions as well. If you look at all my social media pages, there's links everywhere where you can order it online. So yeah, hopefully everywhere.
And good luck for the Shed of the Year final on Sunday.
Yeah.
Do you think you might well win that for the best non-shed?
I don't think that the non-shed's going to win Shed of the Year. I mean, you never know. In a twist of weirdness that is the world we live in, it might do. But who knows, eh? Who knows? I'm in it, so I've got a chance, haven't I?
Good luck, Colin, first. Thanks for joining us on Rutland Radio. Great to have you on again.
Brilliant. Thanks, Rob. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Rutland.
Rutland Radio's best bits on the podcast.
It's Rutland Radio, Friday morning. I'm Rob Pisani. Do you know tomorrow is the annual Rutland Ride and Stride? In fact, it's part of a national initiative, so if you live near a county border, you can go and visit the neighbouring churches. And it is, I suppose, encouraging you to visit your local church. You could even take on the challenge of visiting all the churches in your county if you fancy it. To tell us more is organiser in Rutland, Richard Folkes. Now, the Ride and Stride in Rutland, it's always the second Saturday in September, and I know you have actually got teams who want to actually visit the whole thing, and they can physically do that in the 8 hours that you give them.
Rob, you're absolutely right, but this is the first year when we are confident that somebody will be able to visit all 64 churches within 8 hours plus. And when they tried it 2 years ago, they said they needed an extra hour. So this time we've said, well, don't worry about the time constraint. Just show us what you can do, how long it takes you to get round all 64. Quite incredible, I think.
Now, I was in a church service actually in Ryle for our daughter's christening just a few weeks ago, and as part of the parish notices, the vicar was talking about the Ride and Stride. This is very much a partnership with the active churches and those churches that don't hold a service anymore. It includes everyone, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. We count 64 churches as being on our list, of which 62 are open for worship, and only Wardley and Aston are actually shut. That also includes 2 school chapels and, of course, the chapel at the Army Barracks at Cottesmore.
That's an incredible list, isn't it, if you think about it, actually? And, and maybe some people don't know exactly where all of them are, and that's a way of finding out.
It's also a chance to see some of those smaller churches that aren't always open every day, and some of those are absolute gems. I mean, I'm really, really proud of them. And I'd encourage people, even if they don't want to be part of the mainstream event, to go out and look at some of these smaller churches which are so beautiful.
So Rutland Ride and Stride, as the name suggests, you can go on 2 wheels, you can go on 2 legs. It's entirely up to you what you do on the day, but just to encourage people to visit churches and actually raise some money for one particular church if they'd like to, or the Conservation Trust as well that looks after so many now in our county.
Yes, that's absolutely right. We actually do it every 2 years in Rutland. Most counties do it every year, but we do it every 2. Last time we did it in 2015, we raised £22,000, which is a record amount. We'd be very happy if we get £20,000 this year. And half of that goes back to the churches which people are representing, if indeed they represent a church, and half goes into the giving programme of the Historic Churches Preservation Trust.
And there are various churches actually that are supported by that trust in our county. For instance, Holy Cross Church at Burley. You mentioned about Aston as well, that recently was adopted.
Yes, when a church really does close its doors, then trustees have to find an alternative use for it. And that is now the case with Aston and Wardley. But Holy Cross and Burley is still an active church, not very often.
Yes.
Do they have services there? And you might say the same of someone like Tixover. And these are some of the real little gems.
So how do people find out all about it? Because it really isn't too late to do something about this. There will have been people who've been fundraising for weeks, maybe even months, but you still could do something about this today.
Yep, the Rutland Historic Churches Preservation Trust has got a website. It's www.rhcpt.org.uk. There are full details there. It's still not too late to get a sponsorship form if you want to do that, but there are other ways in which you could now take part, much easier if you like. One of them is that we've got a mini-event within the main event. Anglian Water are organising for us a mini-event around Rutland Water, and all you've got to do is to go to the Normanton car park and then walk towards Normanton Church, where at the little drink stall you will be taken through how to access 7 or 8 churches around the water. The alternative, as we were implying earlier, is to just go out and visit your local church or churches that you've always longed to visit but have often been found to be shut, because every church will be open tomorrow, bar perhaps one.
That is a really incredible gift, isn't it, to the community? Because of security these days, because of the valuables, the lead on the roof even. Not everywhere is open all the time, sadly, anymore.
That's sadly true. We could talk about some of my favourite churches which are not always open, whether you like old churches or stained glass or monuments or modern churches. There are some wonderful churches which, if you just get in your car and go and visit them on Saturday, you will find them open, and then maybe you just leave a donation behind with the people at the door and say thank you very much, and here's a couple of pounds to sort of help towards maintaining your church.
So will there be someone at every church that's open on Saturday?
There will be probably 350 people actually manning churches, obviously in shifts, and that will be true of 62 of the 64 churches, which is amazing.
Isn't it just? Absolutely. It's the Rutland Ride and Stride. It starts at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, goes through to 6 in the evening. And if you'd like to support it, just, go and visit your local church. It's bound to be open. It's bound to have some people there. And why not make a donation to help secure its future? Do you know anything about the team that actually are hoping to visit all of them, by the way?
Yes, I do. It's Ben Finlay, Jeff Bentham and Ryan Henry. They're obviously very serious cyclists because this is quite a challenge. I think they're probably cycling 110, 120 miles. And bear in mind, you have to visit each church, so that probably adds 2 minutes per church. 64 churches, you can do the maths. That doesn't leave them much more than 7 hours. If they're aiming to do it in 9 hours, which is their target, then that leaves them about 7 hours for 110 miles. We're a hilly county, that's hard work.
Yes.
And I think it's amazing, and it's never been done before.
Rutland Radio.
It's Jake Kelly.
So you're training to be a chef in the RAF?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So how come you wanted to? Because there are so many, I suppose, other luxurious kitchens that you could be a chef in. How come you chose RAF?
It's something different. It offers you not just catering in the kitchen, but it offers you catering in the field as well. So it's more than just one aspect that you would necessarily get in civilian life. So civilian life would be 100% in the kitchen. Here we travel about and get to cater in the field from what we have, which is sometimes not a lot.
So you get a lot of life experience.
Exactly, yeah. It's a lot more, I think, exciting than in civilian life.
Can I ask how old you are?
I'm 17.
17, okay.
Yeah.
And can you just talk me through the trainee process? How long is it?
Okay, so you do 10 weeks of basic training at RF Holton, and then you go on to do Worthy Down in Winchester, where you do a 17-week course, and part of the 17-week course is you do 2 weeks deployed skills course, which is up here at RF Whitrin, and you spend the first week, you do all classroom-based things, a lot of learning how things work, a lot of PowerPoints, health and safety, food hygiene, that sort of stuff. And then we come out here into the field for a week and then use 10-man ration packs to basically create whatever we can using them. So it's a lot of using your imagination.
And how different is the kitchen equipment, well, this specific equipment that you have compared to a mess kitchen?
Yeah, obviously, in like a mess kitchen or the kitchens we use at Worthy Down, they're a lot more, the technology is a lot better, a lot more easier to use. These are a lot more difficult to use, a bit more temperamental, but you get used to them and know how they work, because you have to learn about the burners and the ovens and stuff, and you know as soon as you know how everything works, it becomes a lot easier to use.
And you have to set it all up as well, and attend. And it isn't like a pop-up marquee. It's
I think when we set up on Monday morning, I think it's about from start to finish about 5 hours.
Wow.
Setting up getting down here, because we had to load the wagon, load everything on, getting down here, setting up, putting the kitchen in and stuff. So it was a long day.
And what would you say is your best meal that you can cook?
From here, I cooked the other day. I did meat feast pizzas. And so they were good. We used sausages, beef and stuff on them. They were quite good.
And and how do you feel when you'll be feeding the rest of the troops and everything? So how would that make you feel, knowing that your food is...
It does make you feel good. It's instant satisfaction, really. It does. As soon as you serve it up and then you can see people are enjoying it, it does make you feel really good, yeah.
Yeah, Rebecca Davis. At the moment, trainee chef.
And how are you finding it?
Yeah, good. I'm enjoying it. Training's been good, so I'm enjoying free mobile catering. No, this week has been awesome out in the field.
So what sort of things have you been learning this week out in the field?
We've been learning about the lightweight field generator, which gives the electric for all the lighting and the burners. We did obviously learning putting up the tents, setting up the kitchen, learning how to work the burners, and if there's any failures, we've been learning how to rectify the failures.
It's not just being a chef and not just doing food, you're doing so many other things as well.
Yeah, because I mean you've got to know how the kitchen works before you can use it, so learning all the settings and all the burners and everything, so yeah.
A lot to take in.
Yeah, a lot to take in, but you learn it very quickly. Like, I thought I'd struggle with how fast we're learning things, but it sticks in your mind because you're constantly doing it, so yeah.
So what's your best meal that you can cook?
Oh, I don't know. Back at training, we did a creativity day, and quite good at desserts. I think that's the route I need to go down. So I did a chocolate and raspberry mousse cake. So yeah, it was like a brownie base layer, raspberry and white chocolate mousse layer, milk chocolate layer, finished with a chocolate ganache, and it was the best thing I've ever made.
So they're getting good food if you had to be deployed out to somewhere to go feed the troops. They're getting good food.
Yeah, I mean you work with what you've got. Yesterday we made a mince and vegetable pie, so we found some margarine in a tin so we could make the pastry. So yeah, as long as you've got a bit of creativity about you can make anything.
Highlights from the past 7 days, the Rutland Radio Podcast.
I'm Flight Sergeant Chris Dupay, and I'm head of training for 3MC Squadron. I make sure that the entire trade group for the chefs of the RAF are trained and ready to deploy in a field kitchen environment at a moment's notice. We can normally get the smaller sites built within 2 hours. And then, of course, in that time, we'd then have hot water and a meal ready within 4 hours. But the larger sites, where we could be feeding anything up to about 3,500 people, can take 2 to 3 days to build. And then, of course, then we'll then start the field feeding programme as and when required.
How important is it to have the chefs in when they are deployed out to meet them?
It's very important. It goes towards the morale component of any deployment. It's always nice to have your home cooked food within any environment, but especially if you're under a little bit of stress in any of the field environments that we tend to find ourselves in. Having that UK food safety governance and people enjoying home cooked food is essential.
And so the trainees learn about culinary skills, they learn how to become chefs, but it's also food hygiene as well.
Yes, they're taught the very basics right from the off, and then of course we then enforce those additional food safety legislation to make sure that they are operating within the requirement within the field environment.
And would you be able to tell me about your experience when you have been deployed somewhere over the world?
Yes, I've done tours in Kuwait, Iraq, and the Falkland Islands, and all of the skills that they learn here today they will use in all of those environments, especially in the deserts, where of course it's hot, dusty, and you end up with sandstorms. The scrupulous hygiene is essential.
And what sort of food do the chefs cook then?
They will cook absolutely anything from your steak pie right the way through to your very fine dining afternoon teas and macaroons. And of course that depends on the visitors. Sometimes when we have dignitaries come and see us in the field, of course, their requirements are slightly different to the troops. The troops will have their food for fuel and to maintain them in that environment, whereas of course when you're entertaining you need to just have that little bit of refinery in there, but they're capable of doing everything.
Is there like a weekly menu, or does it switch around each day?
We have a 28-day cyclic menu, which we stick to rigidly, and of course all of the orders for the food fall out from that 28-day cyclic menu. So of course the guys have a little bit of free rein to amend things here and there, but we tend to try and keep it to the set menus.
Well, that's it for this week's Rutland Radio podcast. If you have any comments, you can email us via the website rutlandradio.co.uk, and we'll have a new version on our website from Monday.
This is a download from Rutland Radio. For more information, go to rutlandradio.co.uk.